Classic Hollywood sold us a fantasy. Perfectly coiffed starlets, impeccably groomed leading men, and scenes of effortless elegance. But step behind the velvet rope, and you'll discover that some of Tinseltown's most legendary icons had hygiene habits that would make your stomach turn. Today, we're exposing 10 Golden Age actresses whose off-screen realities were anything but glamorous, and why their co-stars, makeup artists, and crew members couldn't escape the stench. Welcome back to Nostalgic Actors. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button now, because this video gets progressively more shocking. Number 10. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo commanded the screen with an otherworldly mystique. Directors called her a genius. Audiences were mesmerized. But the moment the cameras stopped rolling, her co-stars couldn't wait to get away from her. Here's the dirty truth. Garbo was obsessed with what she called natural living. In practice, this meant she bathed sporadically, sometimes going weeks without washing, because she believed soap stripped away essential oils. Sounds romantic in theory. In reality, it was revolting. Makeup artists who worked with her reported a powerful, earthy odor that no amount of perfume could mask. During intimate close-up scenes, actors would literally lean back to create distance. One crew member noted that her preferred uniform of unwashed, decades-old sweaters only amplified the problem, creating what they described as a musky, oppressive presence on set. Directors would sometimes request that certain scenes be filmed at specific angles just to keep other actors from gagging. The irony, the woman, the world considered a vision of elegance, was apparently a nightmare to stand next to. Number 9. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford was meticulous about everything. Her makeup, her home, her public image, her fierce eyebrows that became iconic. She controlled every aspect of her persona with military precision. Everything except one thing: her body's natural response to studio heat. During long shooting days under scorching studio lights, Crawford would sweat profusely. Her costumes would become drenched, leaving behind a sharp, sour odor that mixed with her expensive fragrances in the worst possible way. Instead of smelling like Chanel No. 5, the result was something closer to a gym locker mixed with a perfume counter. Makeup artists complained endlessly. Crawford demanded constant touch-ups because her perspiration would literally melt her makeup off her face. Co-stars found themselves constantly adjusting their positioning during emotional scenes, not because of the drama, but because they needed air. The real kicker? Crawford was absolutely fanatical about keeping her private home spotless. She'd spend hours obsessing over every surface, every detail. But on set, where she couldn't control the heat, her sweat became Hollywood's worst-kept secret. It's almost poetic. The actress who controlled everything couldn't control her own body. Number 8. Clara Bow. Clara Bow was the original It Girl, the first true screen sensation who embodied youth, spontaneity, and raw charisma. Audiences were intoxicated by her energy. But her hygiene was another story entirely. Bow came from poverty, raised without guidance on basic grooming habits. When she arrived in Hollywood, she carried those habits with her. She disliked bathing regularly and thought nothing of wearing the same clothes multiple days in a row without washing them. Her assistants claimed her costumes often carried a distinctly unpleasant odor, especially as shooting days stretched on. But it wasn't just body odor. Bow had another problem. She rarely brushed her teeth consistently. This meant that despite her famous megawatt smile, her breath could be genuinely foul during close-up work. Imagine being an actor trying to perform an intimate romantic scene while holding your breath. The fascinating part? None of this mattered to the audience. Bow's raw talent, her unbridled energy, and her magnetic presence on screen completely overshadowed any backstage realities. She was a superstar despite her hygiene habits, maybe even because of them. Her authenticity and wildness were part of the appeal. But crew members? They knew the truth. Number 7. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner had it all. Stunning beauty, style, confidence, and a lifestyle to match. She was the kind of star who parties until dawn, then somehow still shows up to set looking like a dream. Except, sometimes, she didn't show up looking like a dream. Sometimes she showed up smelling like last night's dream had gone very wrong. Gardner was famous for her wild nightlife. She'd hit the clubs, drink, smoke, dance until the sun came up. And sometimes she'd head straight to the studio, without stopping home first. Crew members reported that she'd arrive reeking of stale cigarette smoke, alcohol, and the kind of perfume that's been sitting in nightclub air for 8 hours. Which is to say, completely rancid. What did she do about it? When she arrived late, she'd skip the shower and just splash on more perfume. Under the scorching studio lights, this strategy would backfire spectacularly. The perfume would break down, mixing with sweat and the lingering nightclub stench into something genuinely unpleasant. Makeup artists had to literally clean her before they could even begin their work. But here's what's interesting. Despite all of this, Gardner's confidence and striking screen presence made her utterly unforgettable. She didn't care what people thought, and somehow that attitude made her more appealing, not less. Number 6. Bette Davis. Bette Davis was a powerhouse. Legendary talent, fierce intensity, and those unforgettable eyes that could bore through a camera lens into your soul. She's also remembered for something else. You could smell her coming from 3 rooms away. Davis was a chain smoker of extraordinary intensity. We're talking multiple packs per day, not just casually smoking between scenes, constantly. The smoke didn't just surround her, it permeated everything she touched. Her hair, her clothes, her skin. Everything was permanently infused with tobacco. Co-stars joked darkly that they could smell her before they saw her on set. During rehearsals or long shooting days, she'd be trailing smoke like she was an active fire hazard. Her costumes had to be specially treated and aired out because they'd absorb so much smoke that they'd reek for days. Makeup artists particularly hated working with her because her breath carried that sharp, stale tobacco sharpness that made close-up work genuinely difficult. But here's what's remarkable. None of it mattered. Davis's raw talent, her command of scenes, and her fearless approach to acting completely overshadowed the fact that she was essentially a walking ashtray. She's remembered as one of Hollywood's greatest actresses, not as that woman who reeked of cigarettes. Though the people who worked with her, they definitely remember. Number 5. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was America's ultimate beauty icon. Blonde, curvy, ethereal, and seemingly perfect. But perfection, as always, is an illusion. Monroe had chronic digestive issues that caused bloating, discomfort, and sometimes noticeable body odor. She also had a quirk. She avoided deodorant because she believed it damaged her delicate skin. Under the intense heat of studio lights, this became a real problem. When you're filming scene after scene, take after take, in 100-degree conditions with heavy costumes and makeup, and you're not wearing deodorant, things get unpleasant quickly. Costume designers reported that her dresses would sometimes absorb strong odors during marathon filming days and required extra dry cleaning afterward. Monroe loved heavy, sweet perfumes, which she'd layer on to cover everything up. But when you mix heavy perfume with sweat and digestive distress, the result isn't glamorous, it's sour and overpowering. There's something almost tragic about it. Monroe was battling insomnia, anxiety, and exhaustion. She'd arrive on set after sleepless nights, sometimes without having showered. The woman the world saw as the epitome of feminine allure was actually struggling behind the scenes, dealing with physical issues she couldn't fully control. But maybe that's what made her so compelling. Her vulnerability, her imperfection, her very humanness. It all translated into something magical on screen. The flaws made the legend. Number 4. Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead didn't just have hygiene problems, she wore them like a badge of honor. Bankhead was Hollywood's resident wild child, outrageous, scandalous, and completely unapologetic. She openly admitted that she hated bathing and would only shower when absolutely necessary. She wasn't ashamed of it. She joked about it. She made it part of her persona. Crew members reported that she'd arrive on set reeking of a potent mixture of sweat, cigarettes, and gin, her three constant companions. She was also notorious for never wearing underwear, which didn't exactly help the hygiene situation during long, hot shooting days. And her smoking habit was legendary, up to 150 cigarettes a day. That's nearly a pack an hour. The result was a thick cloud of smoke and body odor that surrounded her like an aura. Close-up scenes with her were genuinely overwhelming for her co-stars. But Bankhead didn't care. Her bold personality, her fearless acting, and her wild humor made her unforgettable. She was so charismatic that her hygiene issues became just another quirky part of her larger-than-life persona. Actors and crew learned to accept it as the price of working with her. And honestly, it kind of worked. We remember her. We talk about her. And yes, we talk about the fact that she smelled terrible. But she owned it. Number 3. Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow was the platinum blonde bombshell of the 1930s. That iconic platinum hair was her calling card, instantly recognizable, absolutely stunning, and absolutely destroying her hygiene in the process. Maintaining that level of platinum blonde required serious chemical warfare. We're talking ammonia, bleach, harsh peroxide treatments done frequently to keep the color perfect. The smell was intense and lingering. Makeup artists and costume designers complained constantly that the chemical reek clung to her skin and hair, making it nearly impossible to work in close quarters without feeling nauseated. Adding to the problem, Harlow reportedly didn't bathe as frequently as she should have, instead relying on heavy perfume to mask natural body odor. So you had this perfect storm of aging makeup, sweat from long filming hours, and the sharp chemical smell of bleached hair, all mixing together into something genuinely unpleasant. Her dressing room and nearby areas would apparently reek for hours after she'd left. Crew members learned to take breaks if they'd been working near her all day. But here's the thing. Audiences never noticed. Her magnetic screen presence was so powerful, her charisma so undeniable, that the people in the theaters had no idea what the people on set were experiencing. She remains a legend. Those who worked with her, they remember a different kind of legend. Number 2. Judy Garland. Judy Garland gave the world The Wizard of Oz and countless other iconic performances. Her talent was undeniable. Her work ethic was legendary, but the studio system chewed her up, and one consequence was hygiene problems she couldn't control. Garland was subjected to grueling studio schedules, strict diets, and medications designed to manage exhaustion and keep her performative. The stress and medication led to excessive sweating, especially during long shooting days under hot lights. Her costumes would become so saturated that costumers had to wash and rewash them multiple times just to keep them presentable and manage the odor. Makeup artists noted that her body odor sometimes became quite strong, making close-up scenes challenging. But this wasn't a choice on her part. This was the consequence of a system that demanded everything from her: perfection, performance, constant availability, without regard for her physical well-being. What's tragic is that none of this reached the public. Garland remained a symbol of grace and charm, a beacon of talent and light. Only those working directly with her knew about the physical toll, the exhaustion, and yes, the hygiene issues that came along with it. She was a machine running on fumes, and her body showed it. We remember her brilliance. We should also remember the cost. For number 1, Mae West. Mae West closes out our list, and she does it with style. Her own unique, utterly unfiltered style. Mae West was the queen of risque humor and unapologetic sexuality in classic Hollywood. She was bold, she was confident, and she genuinely didn't care what people thought. That attitude extended to her hygiene as well. West's body odor was reportedly potent, the kind that filled dressing rooms and sets, especially during long shooting days or after energetic performances. She'd try to cover it with heavy perfume, but co-workers reported that the fragrance itself would eventually mix with sweat and smoke, creating something pungent and absolutely unmistakable. But here's what's interesting. West didn't apologize for it. She embraced her unique presence. Her odor became just another quirky part of her larger-than-life persona. Actors and crew members learned to accept it as the price of working with her. And they did. What made Mae West unforgettable wasn't that she smelled bad. It was her charm, her comedic timing, her confidence, and her refusal to apologize for being exactly who she was. She proved that charisma can overshadow almost anything, even genuine unpleasantness. These 10 women shaped cinema. They gave us unforgettable performances, created iconic moments, and influenced generations of actors. And yes, apparently some of them had questionable hygiene habits. The lesson? Talent transcends everything. Beauty fades. Image is carefully constructed. But what remains is the work, the performances, the moments, the magic they created on screen. Also, maybe bring deodorant to the set. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more Hollywood secrets that'll make you never look at classic cinema the same way again, and let me know in the comments. Which revelation shocked you the most? And would you have worked with any of these legends knowing what you know now? Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.